Meghan Markle's first Spotify podcast series will be launched this summer after she and her husband raised concerns about COVID-19 misinformation with the streaming platform. The couple signed a lucrative deal with Spotify to host and produce podcasts, estimated to be worth around $25 million £18 million, in late 2020 but have only recorded one show. But royal commentators have been left questioning whether Prince Harry will be included in it. Speaking on Us Weekly's Royally Us, host Christina Garibaldi said, Meghan is gearing up to release her debut podcast this summer. This comes a little over a year after she and Prince Harry signed a reported $25 million deal with Spotify. There has been some controversy with this podcast. It was delayed for a little while because of COVID misinformation that was being released by some other podcasts on Spotify. But they seem to have worked that out. Co-host Christine Ross said, this does seem to be a story that never ends in the sense that we keep getting twists and turns and new drips of information. One thing that was interesting about the recent statement is that they've said it's Meghan's podcast. They didn't mention Prince Harry, and I think he was initially involved in the project. I do believe it's meant to spotlight strong female voices, so it makes sense if Meghan spearheads that project. Besides, royal biographer Duncan who wrote Prince Harry, The Inside Story, says he believes Harry is purposefully choosing not to return the UK, and that in the future he will deeply regret not being there to support the Queen, 95. He also fears that cutting himself off from his family and friends could be an indication that all is not well in his relationship with Meghan. Duncan says, in my opinion, the security issue is a total excuse. Harry has returned to the UK since moving to the States, for Philip's funeral and for his late mother's memorial service, and there hasn't been a security threat. What more threat will there be in the UK than there will be in The Hague? I think he's honestly probably more fearful of being booed by the British public and of facing his family. But I think he should be there to support his grandmother on what will be an emotional day for her. The Queen is also yet to meet Lilibet, and has barely spent any time with Archie. So it's a shame he's missing out on this precious time with her. Duncan adds that Harry's recent behaviour and self-isolation from loved ones may indicate trouble in his relationship with Meghan. He recently surprised fans when he attended a rodeo championship in Texas, something which fans suggested could upset animal rights activist Meghan. And when he was pictured at the Super Bowl in LA last month, it was his cousin Princess Eugenie, not Meghan, by his side. Duncan adds, Harry's recent appearance at the Texas Rodeo was totally bizarre, almost as if he was trying to immerse himself in American culture. It was especially bizarre as it so clearly goes against Meghan's animal rights beliefs. And Meghan's absence from the Super Bowl was baffling too. From what I hear, Harry has cut out many of the people who ever loved him from his life. His family, his old school friends, the list goes on. I think one of the biggest signs of the relationship not going well is that one or both of you become very isolated from the friends and family and people who love you and who you grew up with. And this is what has happened with Harry, since being with Meghan. It's worrying, as he's more alienated than ever now, which shows things aren't going well. And Duncan says that Harry not attending the memorial is an indication that his relationship with his family has deteriorated. He says, I thought the rift was bad this time last year, but that things have really deteriorated since last August when Harry announced he was doing this memoir. With the threat of that book hanging over the royal family, a return to the UK would just be incredibly awkward and emotionally charged. I would be really surprised if he and Meghan come back for the Platinum Jubilee in June. I'm sure in years to come he'll regret missing it, but I just can't see how he can come back and stand with his family with a smile, while there is the threat of his tell-all book. Harry and Meghan also signed multi-million-pound deals with the likes of Netflix and Spotify since moving to the States, but have barely produced any content since. Reports last week claimed that Meghan would be releasing a podcast in the summer, and there's also been reports of a Netflix documentary centered on the Invictus Games in the works. And Duncan adds, Harry and Meghan will be under an increasing amount of pressure to deliver. If this Invictus Games documentary and Spotify podcast aren't world-loved, award-winning programs, they could be in trouble.